Good morning. My name is Josh. This is Alex, Libby, and Jonathan, and we're here to tell you about Quorum, Washington's next-generation legislative strategy platform.
Josh and Alex are both from New Mexico and debated against each other in high school. 3 years ago, when Alex was running the campaign for a presidential youth council, this connection came in handy.
As a Democrat, and somebody who at the time had very little legislative experience, I struggled to figure out who on Capitol Hill I should talk to, which members of Congress worked most frequently with my lead co-sponsor, and what Republicans, if any, would be receptive to signing on to the piece of legislation. So I called one of my few Republican friends in town, Josh, and asked for a little bit of help.
I gave him a few names of people I thought were nice, of people I thought might be sympathetic to the issue. Alex took about 40 meetings on the Hill with Republicans and got one co-sponsor.
And after that long, arduous, and ultimately unsuccessful process, Alex went back to Harvard, where he is a senior now, and sat down with his roommate, Jonathan, a computer scientist, and said there was probably a better way to figure that out.
And Quorum snowballed from there. I joined the team to build our presence in D.C. and brought Libby, who I knew from our work together with the local business association, on board as soon as I could. We are here to tell you about how Quorum is changing the way people see, explain, and influence the legislative process.
At this moment, there are currently over 30,000 legislative professionals around the Washington, D.C. area who lack access to modern tools to help them design, implement, and measure their legislative strategies. The data that these individuals need to make decisions is scattered across hundreds of thousands of different websites, often in very unusable formats. And even if this data were all in one place, they lack the tools to completely analyze and understand it, requiring them to use intuition and guesswork rather than sound logic. Beyond that, these individuals right now are spending a tremendous amount of time doing busy work, comparing different versions of a bill with a highlighter, keeping track of their legislative strategy and legislative outreach with Excel and email, and even hand tabulating votes and bills, and spending a tremendous amount of time. This inefficiency represents a $9 billion market opportunity.
Quorum is an online legislative strategy platform that solves this problem by creating the most comprehensive database of legislative information that has ever been created, with a layer of quantitative analytics giving our clients actionable insights, and a set of productivity tools that automate routine tasks, saving our clients time, money, and political capital. All of this encompassed into an online platform priced at $4,800 per user per year to access.
The first problem that we've set out to address is that the information that one needs to design a legislative strategy is scattered across hundreds of different websites. The Glover Park Group, one of the largest public affairs firms in D.C. and one of Quorum's first clients, used to have a member of their team go through and check 100 members of Congress's websites every day for new press releases. If they found a press release relevant to a client, they'd have to pull up an entirely separate website to see whether or not a member of Congress had spoken about the issue on the floor. And if they want to know whether a member of Congress had tweeted about it, that involved an additional website. And if any of those three statements contained a reference to a specific bill, they then have to pull up a fourth website to find the bill text and figure out what that bill was about.
You get the picture. By the time you have anything close to a train of thought, you have 10 to 20 tabs open, and then an email comes in, and that's the end of that. With Quorum, all of the necessary information is easily accessible in one beautiful interface. With just a few clicks, the Glover Park Group can find all of the press releases, tweets, and floor statements that relate to their clients. If they reference a bill, they're a click away, with a quick timeline of how the bill has moved through the legislative process, and a quick description from the Congressional Research Service. If they need more information about a particular congressional district, they can pull up the statistics using Quorum's District Profiles tool.
But we haven't just put all the information in one place. We've also built a layer of quantitative analytics, giving our clients actionable insights into this data. Holland & Knight, one of the largest government relations firms in D.C. and one of Quorum's first clients, used to sit around a conference room table digging through all of this information for days, trying to identify who would be most likely to sponsor or co-sponsor a given bill. With Quorum, now they have all the information they need right at their fingertips and can easily identify who's most active, influential, effective, and bipartisan on a given issue. And our analytics go a step further. Quorum helps the United Nations Foundation garner support and build their legislative coalition from their small group of champion members to a broader base by identifying who works most frequently with a member based on votes, co-sponsorships, and mentions in press releases and floor statements.
Finally, we've built a series of productivity and collaboration tools that automate routine tasks legislative professionals used to do by hand and bring 21st century technology to the way our clients track their legislative outreach. The first Focus Campaign for Children used to have 3 full-time employees spend a week and a half each year researching and tabulating their legislative scorecard.
With Quorum, that process now takes just an hour. And Focus isn't just doing it once a year, they're doing it every week, so they have an up-to-date measurement of how members of Congress are supporting their issues. Not only that, but First Focus also uses Quorum to rank every single congressional district in the country by over 1,000 statistics in the American Community Survey, so they can make more persuasive arguments to members of Congress about why they should support children's health and education issues. This is a process that used to take downloading 435 different spreadsheets, copying and pasting 435 different rows, and running a ranking algorithm just to do one, let alone 1,000.
There's nothing like Quorum that exists on the market. The features our users need are either scattered across our competitors' websites or don't exist at all. The information that users get from our competitors is entirely qualitative, leaving them with piles of bills, votes, and press releases, but no way to gain actionable insights from the data. With all of the information in one place, quantitative insights that provide actionable insights into the data, and 21st century productivity tools, Quorum has been able to take advantage of this market opportunity.
Jonathan leads our development efforts, and before building the website Quorum that you just saw, built 7 different websites, bringing a background in computational biochemistry and computer science to the team.
Josh, Alex, and Libby are responsible for bringing Quorum to DC and bring political experience from both sides of the aisle. Josh has previously worked with the Townsend Group, a Republican fundraising firm, and was on the Young Americans for Romney Advisory Board. Alex has worked in the U.S. Senate, the U.S. State Department, and for the White House. And Libby has previously worked with the YMCA Government Affairs team, as well as been an intern on the Hill.
Our go-to-market strategy is threefold. The first is a targeted outbound strategy, where we are leveraging our connections from previous political experiences in the White House, on the Hill, and from federal and national campaigns to facilitate introductions to potential clients and influencers. We use RelateIQ, a Salesforce company, to track our sales pipeline, and are engaging in active cold outbound prospecting strategy using Yesware to reach out to potential clients.
We also have an aggressive inbound marketing strategy where we release selective insights from Quorum's platform to the media. In the 2 months since publicly launching, our quantitative insights and company have been featured in 21 different news outlets and have been featured in everything from the New York Times to the front page of the business section of the Washington Post. In fact, later this week, our insights will be used by the New York Times to compare the first 100 days of the 114th Congress to the first 100 days of the past 20 Congresses. With your help, we can continue to build the most comprehensive database of legislative information that has ever been created, with a layer of quantitative analytics and a set of productivity tools that transform the way our clients are measuring and designing and implementing their legislative strategies here in Washington, in state legislative bodies across the country, and in capitals around the globe. We yield our time to the chair.
Yes.
Your website, what little I saw of it, really looks beautiful. I just, I don't understand how you built such a robust system for $48,000, and who is actually inputting all the data, because it looks like there's a lot of raw data input into the system.
So there's actually no manual labor involved in adding the data to the system.
Okay.
I lead the development team, which is clearly more than just me. We've written about 170,000 lines of code. And what that does is it visits those hundreds of thousands of websites that I mentioned every day and checks to see if something has changed and checks to see if something is new in an entirely automated fashion and brings it all into one place, recalculates the statistics, runs all the algorithms, run natural language processing algorithms to make sure that our system can break it down and understand what it means. And so it is a tremendous amount of raw data, but quite fortunately, we don't actually have to do that ourselves.
And so you wrote that code yourself?
It comes from a lot of different places. That 170,000 lines that I mentioned is all our own code.
Wow, that's
but we do
impressive.
also draw on open source libraries, things like that. There's a great open source Congress project that helps provide some basic scrapers that we use and have improved on in some cases and things like that.
And what's the platform built on?
It's Django based, so Django Python, a bunch of different technologies in the front end, including AngoJS and D3 and a bunch of other things.
So two questions, and by the way, excellent presentation, guys, but I'm wondering two things. If we could go to your competition slide, or maybe we can just talk to it for the sake of time. I think no one would quarrel with you with the legacy value proposition right now. Spreadsheets, brute force, searching, it's broken. But there are also a lot of people who are laying claim in the business intelligence area to this market. So I'm wondering, as you've deployed your technology out there, what have customers been saying about your platform versus, say, a comparison to others? And I know you have that in your competition slide, but I've seen other competitors lay claim to some of those columns, so I'm wondering if you could show me some separation.
Sure. Our users are folks that actively and daily are engaged in the legislative process. There are folks that are doing tracking of legislation, but those are more for corporate managers that aren't trying to influence the legislative process. So for us, our primary competitors are Bloomberg and CQ and free sources like Congress.gov. And our clients and prospective clients that we meet with are typically overwhelmed by the ease of use of our platform. And those two legacy competitors of Bloomberg and CQ, Bloomberg Gov, and CQ Roll Call, do not have any level of the quantitative analytics or productivity tools that we have.
The question I have will seem counterintuitive given that, admittedly, this is a business plan competition. However, the civic engagement person in me worries a lot about money in politics and money in legislation. Is there anyone or any plan for gratis or pro bono licenses for those who wouldn't be able to afford it but should have a voice in that process?
Most certainly. So a couple of fun things. The first one is that we've actually given Quorum to free to the Campaign for a Presidential Youth Council, where the whole idea came from. The second is that when it comes to price, some of the people that get the most benefit from it are nonprofit clients. And that's why we highlight folks like First Focus, who can spend an hour doing their legislative scorecard and save that week and a week and a half long time, and actually spend that more towards advocacy and don't necessarily have to pay $10,000 a month to put a lobbyist on retainer in terms of having access to it. We're definitely hoping that as we grow bigger, we actually can afford to have more to folks that might not be able to have it. And I think a fun example of that tonight is that we'll pitch the Audience Choice Award for another $5,000 to bring on somebody this summer to manage giving Quorum to all of the young professionals and interns who will be in DC for the summer. So we'll give it for free to that select group as both a go-to-market strategy as well as a way to give back.
That's time.
Well, thank you guys. We really appreciate it.